This e-learning module will explain the basics of effectuation as an approach to entrepreneurship. At the end of this presentation, I hope that you will have achieved the following learning objectives. You have an understanding of the basic principles and definition of effectuation, that you can apply them to a case that you may have, and that you can explain why you might use effectuation as the approach to your own ideas. Just to recap on the video you saw at the start about the difference between causal and effectuation entrepreneurship. In causal entrepreneurship, the market is known. That means that somehow the future is predicted and you know what will happen, and the goals within this are defined and fixed, so you know which way you are going. In effectuation entrepreneurship, you look at what you have, who you are, what you can do, and who you know that you can involve. You look at your network, understand what principles you can use, whom you can use, and what could be out there in the future. You will try to control the future as things happen, and you embrace uncertainty and surprises, and try to shape the future into what you hope it will bring. Effectuation is built on 5 main principles. The bird in the hand principle, meaning what do I possess? Who am I? What do I know? Whom do I know? The lemonade principle, which means by learning to work with surprises, it gives you an advantage. Here, surprises can lead to valuable new opportunities, new people you meet, new ideas. The crazy quilt principle is building partnerships early in order to reduce uncertainties and identify new markets. By entering partnerships, you will get a better, broader approach to the problem or the solution you are trying to make. The next principle is the pilot in the plane principle. You focus your activities, and the control leads to a desirable outcome that is made in a future. That means you are trying to define the future. The future is not already defined, but by having an active approach to this, you can maybe change the future into what you want it to be. The last one is the affordable loss principle. This means that by choosing goals and actions with affordable losses and expected returns, and an estimate of what the costs of these losses and returns are, you will have some idea of what the cost of trying to implement your idea will be. Finally, these 5 main principles are bound together in the effectual circle, in which you are constantly revisiting the 5 principles and reassessing how you can try to change the future into what you want. We'll now try to expand on these concepts by using a simple example. The entrepreneurial adventure always starts with an idea of how you can make a business to fulfill a need. In this one, we choose to take an idea that came from some of our students at the university. And this was to stop bakeries, supermarkets, etc. from throwing away day-old bread, and instead to turn it into a new food product, a pasta. In order to realize your idea, and using effectuation principles, you start with the bird in the hand and what means you have. In other words, who am I? What can I do? What abilities do I have? What are the things that I have that I can start off with? For example, what kind of education do your partners have? What training, experience, and expertise are ready and available to you? Can you bake? Can you cook? Are you extrovert and good at convincing businesses to give you their old bread? The next thing is to look at who can I involve? So you look at your social and professional network. Who do you know that has skills, resources, etc. relevant for the business idea? Can you partner with a university and gain access to their food labs to prototype a basic product so that you can show that to other people and show that the concept works and there is something to sell? Try to contact local supermarkets and specialty shops selling high quality products where maybe there are more customers to buy this than in a generic supermarket. You will always have surprises and uncertainties. Maybe your Italian friends laugh at calling it pasta, but by embracing this and using it to your advantage, maybe you can make a humorous social media advertisement. Maybe it will lead to something even better. The effects form an achievable and desirable goal. You look for something that can be done and will be done, and then you start to have interactions with the other people. What kind of goals and interactions do you have? You have decided, what can I do? Who can I involve? Maybe you have a driving license, which means one of you can drive and show the product to people. If you're an extrovert, you can go to presentations at fairs where you meet new people and get help to evolve the idea. You need to build partnerships instead of competition. And in this way you can dissolve a lot of problems that could happen in the future. For example, you need to have real producers on board if you want to scale up production from prototypes to a real production that could sell on the market. You have to seek customers' involvement to test the idea, and if you have more partners, this will help to reduce your losses and will give a better idea of what you can afford. Maybe the costs needed to launch will be dramatically reduced because you have partners who have an idea how to get the product to the market. If you are actively seeking new opportunities, you might get some surprising benefits. For example, to look to crowdfunding, which is a new way to get funding for scale-up, but it can also give an instant customer base and ambassadors for your product because they have already invested in it, even if it was only for a very tiny amount of money. At some point in time, you will need to involve more people who have some kind of stake in your business. This can lead to commitment from them, and commitment leads to more resources. Commitment can also lead to reduced uncertainty in the early stages of the project because you will have other people with an open mind that look on the idea you have and maybe come to new solutions. For example, instead of just looking at normal supermarkets, maybe you could target supermarkets with a sustainable profile or with a non-government organization to feed homeless people. But these new ideas and new solutions will evolve your product and can also lead to new constraint on the whole idea. A new constraint could be, how do you actually distribute the product to the final consumer? Or how do you get kitchens and other industries to make ready-to-eat lasagna from your pasta product and get that on the market? It is also possible that you have stakeholders that express no commitment, risking that they become a dead weight. But even here, if you embrace this surprise, maybe you can turn it to your advantage. If you want to expand, you have to include new stakeholders, and this will lead to new ideas and new people that look at your product and come up with new ideas. There might be new goals, and there might be a more specific direction in which way to lead your idea. But in addition, there may also be possibility to expand the market. What do all these changes during implementation of your idea lead to? These changes could lead to a need for more control. Control can also lead to a development of more self-esteem. You know your idea works, you know that you can do this, it reduces the stress for you. But it can also mean that you can lose control of your own idea, and this can lead to helplessness and depression. For the entrepreneur, it is normal that these kinds of people strive for control. You want to be your own boss in your own company, so the idea of losing control may not be so well thought of. The process of effectuation can be summed up into a model where you embrace changes in means and changes in constraints, and by using your own and your partner's abilities, you turn them to your advantage to define the future that you want. So finally, we ask you to reflect upon the process of effectuation and whether it is the right approach for your entrepreneurial journey.